So yeah,
Man, big
other than
facts.
that,
All right, well, big facts. Hey, bro, well, this is the one we start everybody off with. And, sometimes self-love and we know the answers, but everybody don't. So if you could
right.
just tell everybody what city you from, what part of that city that you're from, just so they know, and maybe give a little background on, what it was like to be coming up, up until the age of 10 in that
Right.
area.
Well, I'm straight from Chicago, Illinois, South Side, AltGeld Gardens, born and raised. I was born in Roseland Hospital. I went straight to the Gardens as an infant. I lived there until my high school year, but in between that, I moved around here and there, but I always came back, you know what I'm saying? But went to Carver Elementary, Carver Middle, Carver High, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Graduated from out here. I'm in South Dakota right now, but I got my GED out here because my mother begged me after I went to high school in Carver. Then she sent me to Iowa. So I was in Iowa for my sophomore to senior year, but I dropped out, left, you know what I'm saying, and was moving around. Mom's begged me, please get your GED. So I got it out in South Dakota because I was moving around, you know what I'm saying, as a young buck, just enjoying the damn country, I guess, you know what I'm saying. But definitely from Chicago, definitely from the Gardens. Growing
Okay.
up, it was pretty much just regular young kid stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say because I know when I spoke to you yesterday, bro, you was going into like how it was still a sense of community. It wasn't so quote unquote old blockish at that time. Like
At the time, yeah.
it was still family structure. Can you kind of get into that just a little bit, bro?
Yeah. Well, what we was talking about like black on black crime, and I was saying how it was fairly in its infant stage still, you know what I mean? Because I was around in the 80's where it was rough, but everybody was still a community, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
sir.
I knew all of my friends' mother, you know what I'm saying? I knew a good helping of the fathers was still there, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them wasn't, but a lot of them was. So it was like 50-50, you know what I mean?
Yes,
That's
sir.
when prison had started coming in. So a lot of them was going to prison, or some of them had passed away, or some of them was just gone, you know what I'm saying? But we was still a whole community, you know what I mean?
Facts,
If
facts.
I knew the grandmother over here, she knew my mama, I knew not to be cussing in front of her. I had to help her with her groceries if I seen
Man,
her, you know what I mean? I wasn't trying to rob her. Crack had just came in, so nobody really wasn't doing that neither. You know what I mean? Robbing old
facts.
women and acting wild and stuff until I guess that happened in the 90's. But gang banging was in. It wasn't that dangerous for the kids. You know what I'm saying? Because we were still kids. But we seen them, and they didn't bother us. They'll tell us, "Shorty, get up out of here, Shorty." You know what I'm saying? You ain't even supposed to be over here. You know what I mean?
Man.
Unlike now, they tell them to do it now. This my hitter. This my driller. You know what I mean?
Now think, go back in time a little bit, man. Like say you like maybe like 7, 8 years old, bro. Um, and you in the gardens out there, one way in, one way out. One
Mm-hmm.
way in, one way out, right? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Pretty
yeah,
much. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so you out there, bro, but it's a community. So we're going back to this time. What was it like? Like, could you come outside and say, "Oh, there's Mrs. O'Malley, the white lady walking her dog"? Like, if there were white people that you saw in your early life, in what capacity were you seeing white people?
It wasn't none at all. It wasn't none. I think it was one white lady. Her name always slipped my mind, and she was there. She was literally the last one there, and she had a mixed grandson named Tuffy. If my sister watching, she know who I'm talking about. I swear, I can't remember her name. She was only one, and we respected her. We nobody bothered her because she was there before our families got there. Because I think if you do the history, the Gardens
Mm-hmm.
was some like an army. It was made for the army people coming back from the army, and a lot of I think they want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said German and Jewish people was there. Some happened like that. But when I got there in the 70's as a baby, it was already just a whole full black community. So I used to tell people like we really didn't experience white people unless it was a teacher at the schools. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mm-hmm.
really don't even remember. At this point I don't remember none. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
let me ask
we,
you then.
we didn't
What
experience
about
it.
so you teachers, fireman? What about 12? The 12 that you remember seeing, were they black or white?
When as you got me thinking, I really don't remember seeing police like that in there. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
the gardens, but to people that's listening and don't know, it's like a maze. You know what I mean? You got to come in there and you go in through these blocks and all of it like a maze, and then you come back out the same way. I really didn't see the police in there like that. And if I'm pretty sure at that time they had to been white, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
had to been white,
but they wasn't coming through like with the gang units and just
no, they wasn't doing nothing like that. They wasn't doing nothing like that.
That's interesting, bro.
Yeah.
See, that's
They
good.
was banging, but it wasn't as hard as it was in like straight at the 90s. That's when gangbanging really took a height, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In the 80s, it still was an organization and kind of structured until y'all know the crack came in and the money started coming, you know what I'm saying? That's why I said on one of my songs on Lost Control, I said we was fine being broke until the money came. You know what I'm saying? Because we ain't know no better. Everybody was broke. So we was just happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? So
no, that's a good point. I never looked at it that way. You saying we sitting around minding our business, and all of a sudden there's a 14-year-old doing donuts in a Corvette, and you're like,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the gardens because my mom worked at Carver High School.
Oh yeah,
yeah. All my life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, since before I was born until about 95, I think.
And you know his mom. Well, we'll talk offline about it. But yeah,
Right.
man, and she was administrator, bro, for years.
Yeah, and Jazzy went there too. That's where Jazzy graduated from.
My wife remember his mom.
My sister probably know all of them, bro, on everything, because she was big on the track team and all that. She got a scholarship to ASU for running track out of Carver. Yeah, she got a scholarship. She a doctor now, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
She went and got her doctorate and everything, you know what I'm saying? So big ups,
yes,
sis,
sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, big ups on that achievement, man. Big ups on that achievement.
Well, there was a lot more community in the gardens. It was, you know, community. The students, most of the students came from there, and you know, wasn't no bunch of fights and none of that.
They still was banging out a little bit, but it wasn't big. It wasn't nothing to relish over. You know what I'm saying? It was just as boys being boys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they probably was claiming sets at that time. You know what I mean? But it wasn't nothing. Nobody was in immediate danger. You know what I mean? Far as I remember, and I was definitely out the way because I was younger. You know what I mean? And my sister and them, they was popular, so people just rocked with me like, oh, that's Tashawn and Paula, little brothers. Just don't let him. You know what I mean? So
no doubt.
And then because I remember we were talking about how we're all tethered and the 6 degrees of separation. But go ahead, so if you had some more follow up to that before I get into the next question.
I was just relating to him because you know I'm Lil Jazzy. You know what I'm saying? Most of my life, so you know I know what I'm saying. I got lots of passes because of who he is.
Right.
Yeah, and so like I was saying, bro, like within the how we're all tethered, we were kind of going into that yesterday in the 6 degrees of separation, and that's what I thought. I was thinking, kind of kept our communities together. You mentioned how everybody was respectful. I could remember being on the block, bro, and it's like, man, here comes it'd be like, here comes Trife's mom. It could be here comes Trife aunt, y'all put that down, stop doing this and that. And it's hello, and at some point that stopped.
Right. That happened in the 90s, man. The disrespect came in the 90s, you know what I mean? When the babies started having babies, really, you know what I mean? And they was like, don't nobody tell my child nothing, that chicken head squawking stuff, you know what I mean? But in the 80s, we was all family, bro. Going to my auntie house every holiday, 4th of July, all my cousins was there, all my uncles, all my aunties. We got to spend the night at their house every weekend. It was either this auntie house, this uncle house with these cousins. Y'all going to Uncle Buster house. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Y'all going to Uncle Michael house. Y'all going to Auntie Josephine. We was happy as hell, you know what I'm saying? We was happy, you know what I mean? And we was close, you know what I mean? Super close.
Man, and so I know you're associating it, with the, crack epidemic and other things. And Self Love and I, we'll get into this a little later, but we kind of say it was when the, the head got chopped off, when the silverbacks got removed from the community. Right. You also mentioned this cycle of the women who decided that a man isn't A man isn't necessary. A father is not necessary. And and I'm going to say that I agree with that 100%. A father is 100% necessary. We're not just talking about a dad. We're talking about a father. And a father would have a way to support his family. But however, things happen and we're supposed to be building together. Self-love, I was talking to a brother today. He was like, we're in the third generation of what Trife just talked about. Of that woman who discounts the man and anyone else who will try to. You remember, Self, we lived in that building behind your house. Boys will be boys. That mentality. No, I'm talking to you as an adult. Can you please discipline your children? And all of that got snipped. So if your kids are hearing the dad say, well, kids can do whatever they want, then they're going to raise their kids to do whatever they want. And and we're in the third generation of this now, bro.
Yeah.
They popping pills and drinking lean. That stuff used to be a violation. You got people. Yes, you got people claiming gangs and holding lean and pills at the same time. I'm like, wow, you couldn't do that.
Don't get high on your own supply. you know that. But the opioids, that's a whole nother conversation because that was never us. That was in the suburbs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least the only thing we knew somebody to do was to smoke reefer in the manila envelopes. You know what I mean? And maybe they was bumping some, but I was young. I didn't see the bumps, but I smelled the reefer.
You talking about those flame $3 bags? It was all indicas, a $3 bag and a $5 bag, and that envelope. They used to be pillows, boy.
With the tops, they rolling up joints. So
yeah.
I used to come down. What's that? Get your ass upstairs.
Hey, I'm gonna take you back. And can you remember seeing those little bags on the ground every now and then? You see the
all the time.
Bag? Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah. At some point, it went to plastic. Why? It was so much better for the environment.
In the envelopes, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Hey, the envelopes used to be loud as hell. I think that's.
And you know what? That was dirt weed at the time.
It was. It was that. Yeah.
It would still be loud though.
Seed it up, yeah.
And most of the times it was dirt, but every now and then, like Self said, they put everything in it. So every now and then you'll come across something that wasn't dirt.
Right.
And it was in that same pack, and it would be.
I'm not even talking about the taste or the style of it.